This one here that we're gonna play
This
is like stupid new. Alright? Just stupid new. We're just gonna play it because what the hell, why not, right?
Right.
You guys wanna hear a stupid ass new song, right?
Yeah.
Cool. It's a little different, but it's fun.
Hey. Yeah.
I heat up, I can't cool down. You got me spinning around and round, round and round and round it goes. Where it stops, nobody knows. Every time you call my name, I heat up like a burning flame, full of desire. Kiss me, baby, let the flames get higher. Abracadabra, I wanna reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra, abracadabra. You make me hot, you make me sigh, you make me laugh, you make me cry. Keep me burning for your love with the touch of a velvet glove. Abracadabra, I wanna reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra, abracadabra, abracadabra. reach out and grab ya. Abracadabra. Abracadabra.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of I'm No Joe, your home for all things combat sports, and the place where every armchair quarterback can feel like Eddie Bravo. The views and opinions presented on the I'm No Joe channel belong solely to the person expressing them, no one else. If we say it, that means we meant it. That being said, this show does contain adult themes, adult content, and general shit that you shouldn't be letting your kids intake. Be advised, viewer discretion is recommended. Proceed at your own risk. You've been warned. If it's Thursday, it's I'm No Joe. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of the I'm No Joe podcast, the show where every armchair quarterback can feel like an Eddie Bravo. Today, as in the case is most days, we have got a glorious panel full of folks here to break down the craziness that is this weekend's upcoming MMA event-filled shenanigans. A couple little twists in the show today, but we'll get there when we get there. First and foremost, before we dive into any of the shenanigans and shit talking here, I want to take just a second here and introduce you to the fine folks who will be getting into the shit talking and breakdowns with me here. Now, if you haven't seen the show before, you don't know what you've been missing, but we have got the glorious return in the new setting of the freshest guest a man could ask for. Hopefully we got him back tuned in here. Mr. Fresh 03 himself. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, working out the kinks still. Working out the kinks.
Glad you're able to make it, sir.
Yeah. Apparently it was just a reset on the power USB. Apparently that's what that was. So
I've had the issue myself. Yeah. Oh, and then across the octagon from that glorious SOB, we have got the interim new guy, as it were, the I don't need a purple strap kid with the clean cut, RJ MMA. How you doing, brother?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. I gotta get used to my new setup and shit now too, because everything's in different places. Doing good though. Good to be here. Good to see Fresh here this week with all of his stuff all sorted out and ready to go. But good to be back.
Yeah. Glad to have you, brother. And then, as is the case more often than not, across the octagon from myself, my Wednesday night compatriot, my combat shit talking homeboy, the man, the myth, the legend, Golf T Vapes. How you doing, TJ?
Fantastic. Ready for another hangover show. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain as long as they keep stacking these pay-per-view cards like they're looking like they're going to do this year.
I agree. That's actually why I named the show what it is, because this is a little bit less of a hangover like last weekend was, and leading up to next week, this is the I'm going to pre-episode. So, you know, just getting our 260 preemptive going, if you will. Oh, but getting into the shenanigans here, before we get into the shenanigans here, rather, as has been told to me by folks much smarter than myself, and I have forgotten in recent weeks, if you are new to the I'm No Joe show, we are available on all social media for the most part. Facebook, I'm No Joe. Instagram, I'm No Joe. If you are seeing this in video format, but are distracted by these Instagram influencer level mugs that we have got on the screens here, fret not, mon ami, we've got you covered there as well. The all audio format version of this show is available through your podcast consumption of choice over at anchor.fm/I'm No Joe. If you are over there listening to the audio version of the show, you can also watch the goofy mugs that give you these hilarious sounds live every Thursday night over on YouTube/I'm No Joe. And if you want to support the crazy shit we get up to around here, get access to some behind the scenes and unaired, even unairable things that only supporters get access to, patreon.com/I'm No Joe. Get you some neat little features, get your name down at the end of the video. It's cool shit, and we appreciate it around here. That being said, we have got a little bit of news, very, very minuscule again amount of news. With them stacking these pay-per-view cards, it's kind of slowing the news cycle down, so we don't have a whole bunch of news to talk about. We did have some interesting things from last weekend that I kind of want to go over a little bit before we get into tonight's rundown, and then we are going to be doing the first of the new format this evening when we get into the rundown. We'll get into that when we get a little bit closer to it. I think Fresh might have missed the memo on that one, but I'm sure he'll catch right on it. It'll be fairly good. But last weekend, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, wow. Like we said, this was the pay-per-view hangover card, much like the inverse of this week's leading into the pay-per-view. This was coming off of that crazy fucking giant pay-per-view. And as we have seen that they do, they didn't give us the greatest card, but there was absolutely some shit on there that was, oh, damn worthy, if you will. Starting right out of the gate with the 16-second knockout to open the card that absolutely no one thought was even going to be a possibility. Semelsberger walked in, finished, done, ended it. Fucking put Wit out cold. Bravo, sir. Bravo. And from then the prelims got a little prelim-y, if you will. We get over two snoozy decision fights. Both of the ladies' fights were just bad. Typical fight night prelim ladies' fights, I guess would be an accurate description. And then we get into one of the crazy last-minute switch-up fights. Rafa Garcia, man, he came out, I'll give him credit. He came out and definitely was not shook by the big lights. The big stage tends to get the nerves of some fighters a little bit rattled. He came out looking like he knew exactly what he was doing, like he knew exactly where he was. The bad part about that is Nasrat Hakparas was like, that's cute, son. I've been here longer. I know it a little bit better. Sit the fuck down. I'm taking this one. And just put fucking work in. One of the few entertaining decision fights, in my opinion, that we got on this card, because like we say time and time again, Nasrat Hakparas is allergic to bad fights. He breaks out in punches. It gets vicious. And this was a perfect example of that, because he did take a couple of good shots. Hoffa got some good licks in. You can see he's got some experience. He's just got to dial it in, get his focus going, and I think he's definitely got a chance to make something of himself here in the UFC as well. But man, put some respect on that name. Nasrat Hakparas has been ready every time they've called him, this being a perfect example. I think that guy's going to start climbing in talent here real quick and get a chance to shine. Following up after that, I know it kind of got looked over a little bit because Ray Rodriguez doesn't have the biggest name coming in, so it wasn't really the most hyped fight, but it's kind of hard to deny that Rani Yahya has now had 21 submission finishes in a row. Not in his career, not in the last decade, in a fucking row. This man just chokes people into unconsciousness from wherever. Oh, he can't get your neck? Cool. You got limbs that he can grab, and he's gonna, and you're tapping. Just, I mean, the thing that I like about Rani Yahya is he is not that stereotypical Damian Maia, Ryan Hall-esque one-trick pony jiu-jitsu, one-dimensional fighter. Rani Yahya will stand and bang with you. You want to wrestle? Rani Yahya will wrestle. You want to play against the fence? You want to get that clinch action going on, get a little Muay Thai mix-up? Rani Yahya got knees too. But when that shit gets to the ground, Rani Yahya ain't got no time for bullshit. Poor Ray Rodriguez found out the hard way. Beautiful fucking victory for Rani Yahya. Following right up on that, Air Jordan. God damn, that boy has got a fucking piston for a fist. Another example that we saw of how should we put this? Refereeing that could use a little refinement of its own. That was another fight that I will say not every time they do it, but the vast majority of the time where the commentators are yelling, stop the fight is over, stop the fight, it probably should have already been stopped. If the guy sitting on the sideline can see that this fight is over, the referee absolutely should have been in a position to see that the fight should have been over already. So it's getting a little much, which is why I make a point to mention it when shit like this happens. But luckily it didn't get too crazy this time, and Jordan was able to get his win and not have too much to deal with. And then we get to the quote prelim fight, and it was just as terrible as we anticipated it was going to. So we're moving right along from there. Then we got into the shit storm of the fucking week. We say a lot of the times that these fight night cards, especially these pay-per-view hangover fight night cards, can often have some fuckery afoot. This main card started with fuckery, and it just maintained. It put its foot down on the fuckery gas pedal and never let off. Eric Anders and Darren Stewart ended in a very deja vu-esque knee. But for some reason, this one was ruled a no contest. Now, since last weekend, Big John McCarthy has come out to verify that no contest disqualification doesn't matter for rounds. Sorry about that. Disqualification, no contest rule does not matter per round. If there is an intentional foul, especially to the likes of a hard fucking knee to a downed opponent, it can and should be considered rather a disqualification. If it's an intentional strike, that's a disqualification. Even Big John is a little confused why this one was called a no contest and not a DQ, because it was an almost identical situation minus the Russian instructions. So it sucks that it went down that way, but a knee to a downed opponent 2 weeks in a row kind of makes you think that maybe the talks in the back need to be a little bit more thorough, more direct, and more specifically worded. Not that I'm not saying that I don't think they're pretty accurate. I'm just saying we've had 2 weeks in a row where a major fight on a card ended in a result of a knee to a downed opponent. So maybe the words, if I say down and you knee him, you lose the fight on a disqualification, needs to be expressly stated, because maybe not everybody gets it. But 2 weeks in a row, folks, 2 weeks in a row on a fucking down knee. That's beyond fucking ridiculous. That moves on to what wasn't quite as exciting as we had hoped for, but definitely very telling, like we thought it was going to be. Manel Kape's the sophomoric return rather into the UFC octagon against Matthias Nicolau. I will say this. Manel did land a couple of very good shots in that fight. The problem was it was just a couple throughout the entire fight, not like a couple each round or like a couple each exchange. It was just a couple for the majority of that fight. Nikolai basically ran that show, and Manel tried to get a couple good counters in where he could for the vast majority of it. How it came down as a split decision is another example of some of the questionable judging decision as well as refereeing decisions we got to see last weekend. But as they say, it is what it is. Danger Davy Grant. Who'd have thought that Pikey was a bare knuckle boxer? Holy shit. You gotta feel bad for Martinez because he's a little fucking madman, and I was absolutely convinced that he was coming in to do work, and Davy Grant just said, nope, we're not gonna have that. Props to Jonathan Martinez for coming in looking like a stud while he had the chance, but Davy Grant definitely cut that opportunity short, to say the least. Just beautiful 1-2 laid into the body and then clean to the fucking head, the textbook way that you're supposed to throw that fucking combination, and just shut the fucking show down for poor Martinez. They don't say it enough. I don't know that I've ever actually heard them announce him as it, but $50K Dan Ige. God damn, son, talking about not wasting time getting paid by the minute. The official time on Dan Ige's knockout was 22 seconds. The reality of that knockout was it was literally the first punch thrown. No exaggeration, no fucking hype. The first punch thrown in that match was Dan Ige just a split second before Gavin Tucker, and it was right on the goddamn button, as clean as you could fucking get it, and you saw him just fall and shut down. One shot fucking knockout power from Dan Ige. Talk about stepping right back into where you were before your stumble. God damn, give Dan Ige somebody with a fucking number behind their name now. That shot was perfect. Literally timed, aimed, placed, done. Beautiful. Absolutely fucking beautiful of a single thrown punch. The problem is that punch brought us to the co-main event. And between that punch and the co-main event, that's the last little good we got Saturday night. Because Ryan Spann, to his credit, came in looking like a fucking demon as well, and told Misha that he was not going to play all night. He, again, was not working all evening and out to get paid by the minute. So you hate to see it, but Ryan Spann was throwing nothing but clean shots, and poor Misha ended up on the raw end of that fucking deal. I don't really think it looked horrible for Misha overall, so much as it looked fucking spectacular for Ryan Spann. But ouch. Absolutely fucking cleanly done, but ouch. Like I said, that's where the last of our good feeling came in Saturday night, because after that, when we got into the quote unquote main event, as fucking horrible of a main event as that actually was, replacement last minute bullshit thrown together, it actually got worse than we ever could have possibly thought. In round one, Leon Edwards, who to his credit was outworking Bilal Muhammad, was outmaneuvering him and was actually looking pretty fucking good, but poked Bilal Muhammad in the eye very blatantly in a very sloppy manner, got a warning for it, got a finger to the corner but not fully in the eye, and in a warning because of it with his hands out during the fight in round one. And then in round two, literally skull fucked Bilal Muhammad with his finger to the extent that the doctors had to stop the fight and he couldn't see. We have seen in the replay review and slow motion footage since then that Leon was glove deep in Bilal's eye sockets. it jammed so hard and so forcefully, it actually cut the eyelid in the process of jamming in and then actually hit the eye. We have luckily learned that it wasn't complete career ending as of yet. The vision did slowly start to return. We are waiting for the final official medical determination, but as of right now, the vision has returned. It is very swollen, angry, and red and black and blue, as you would expect, but the vision did come back, so it looks like it isn't going to be something that is career ending, which is, silver lining, if a silver lining can come out of that kind of a shitstorm. But obviously that was not able to continue the fight. The interesting point there is that once again, a not necessarily in malicious, but not accidental either, situation that ends the fight does not end in a disqualification, even though Leon got a warning for an eye poke, for keeping his hands open, and then in the second ended the fight by keeping his hands open and causing a fight-ending eye poke. They still determined that to be a no contest. So it was the night of no contests, even though both of the no contests ending strikes were, if not intentional, then not accidental and avoidable, to say the least. A little weird. Post-fight press conferences come out. Leon, to his credit, apologized for poking Belial in the eye and then proceeded to say he still thinks he deserves the next title shot. So I'm curious to see what his USADA results are going to be from that post-fight piss test, because clearly he's on some good shit. I don't know what fucking universe I fucking someone with your finger till they can't fight anymore earns you a title shot when you've been out for a year and change, and that's how you come back. But that's what Leon seems to think, and he has since doubled down on that statement. He legitimately thinks he should get the next title shot. So there is that. But we did get another one of those weird situations where we didn't have a fight of the night. We had 4 performance bonuses of the night. This one I kind of understand a little bit more. I'm still not real tickled about there not being a fight of the night. If you want to give performance to 4 people, cool. But I think if you're going to make fight of the night mean as much as you do and hold it as a record and shit, then there should be one on every card, regardless of how many performance of the nights you give away. That being said, the 4 performances of the night, Semlisberger, who opened the show with a fucking 16-second knockout, completely understandable. Davey Grant, who, again, 1-2 good night, Gracie. Absolutely understand. That's a 50K combo. I guarantee that one. And the nickname says it all. 50K Dan Ige got his fucking bonus, as I arguably think he should have. And then Ryan Spann for setting poor Misha to sleep early. I absolutely agree with all 4 of those performance bonuses. But if you're going to make the fight of the night such a big deal, there has to be one on every card. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Ironically enough, the medical suspensions were all actually legitimate. There's not really anything on the whole list, and I just looked over it again before we went to start the show here. There actually wasn't a crazy medical suspension this week. I think that's the actual craziest part this time, is that we didn't have any ridiculous medical suspensions this week. So, I'm not going to assume that's going to stay like that, but we got there. So we'll see how that goes going forward. That being said, that will bring us into our news and recent events segment here. We did get some pretty interesting fight announcements, and then a couple little pieces of actual news. The first little piece of actual news we got, GSP has officially joined the broadcast booth for Combat Karate. Maybe not where most MMA fans thought he would have gone, but you also have to remember that before he came to the UFC, GSP was almost most famous through his black belt in Kyokushin karate. Not to mention his huge idolization of Boss fucking Rutan, who he will now be sitting on the desk and commentating karate alongside. So, you know, you can't really be mad about that. The guy's getting to do something he loved long before he was ever a fighter. Now that he's not fighting anymore, good for fucking George. It'd be cool to hear a voice that a lot of casual MMA fans will now follow, at least to some degree, and maybe get a little new learning of a different sport they might not have seen otherwise. So good on George. I think it's a pretty cool fucking move. Definitely good for Karate Combat to get a voice that big to sit alongside an already huge voice in Boss fucking Rutan. So that'd be pretty cool, I think. Go.
It'd be nice to see him sitting next to another legend.
Right? Yeah. Have some legitimate name and like big caliber weighted fucking name recognition doing a commentary for karate, not necessarily for MMA.
Still, they both know karate. I mean,
yeah.
And I mean, GSP was smart enough to take some karate lessons from Joe Rogan, so.
Yeah, that's true. That spinning heel kick that he learned, that he went to fucking Rogan's studio to study essentially under Rogan to learn. We saw him use a couple times. Bisping caught one to the fucking ribs and said that it hurt like a motherfucker and blamed Joe Rogan for it.
Joe Rogan tutelage is no joke.
That turning side kick that he throws, it's basically the Joe Rogan kick, man. That's brutal. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be pretty cool to see him sit next to Boss talking the karate shit. Another interesting piece of news, I guess we should say, was talked about this week. It actually ties into a story from last week. We got a story last week. I don't know if it's so much a story. It was a sound clip from the UFC Unfiltered podcast with Matt Serra and little Jimmy Norton. And Matt Serra basically said he was a little in his feelings because after 7 years of working with Aljamain Sterling, literally letting him sleep on his fucking couch, taking time out of his life to help the kid, when it came to the camp, he basically took Ray Longo and flew to Las Vegas and didn't tell Matt Serra what was going on, didn't end up actually bringing him to Vegas to fight for the fucking belt, and then didn't give him a shout out when he weirdly still gave a thank you to his coaches and shit while he did that concussion protocol avoiding interview with DC after Aljamain got quote unquote declared the champ. So Matt Serra last week had basically said, like, you know, I'm a little in my fucking feelings about this. Like 7 years we've been fucking working together. And then in the last 6 months, he decides that he's just going to hang me out to dry, fly out to Vegas and still take Ray, but then bring in Eric Nixick instead of, you know, me, who's been there for the last 7 fucking years. And then not even tell me why or tell me that I'm not going, just leave me hanging. So I'm going to quit cornering altogether, which Matt Serra is a fucking legend. And if he doesn't want a corner, he doesn't fucking need to. The fact that Aljamain didn't appreciate having someone like Matt fucking Serra in his corner to the extent that he just left him hanging like that was a little disheartening, but you know, I get it. Sometimes you move on and you leave people behind. But then we get a video this week of Matt Serra back in Jersey talking about how he's still done cornering, but he's also going to be helping Aljamain Sterling train to defend his belt, he says, against Peter Yan in the rematch, and that there's no beef. They're cool. What? So in the moment when we hear the real feelings, which are legitimate as fuck, like you've been working with somebody 7 years, we're in the goddamn title fight, baby. This is what we've been fucking training for 7 years. And then you hang them out to dry like that. that's a dick move of dick moves. But then to just step right back in the next week and pretend like it wasn't anything. I don't like it. I don't fucking like it. I'm not happy that Matt Serra was willing to eat fucking crow like that. And I don't like it that Aljamain put him in that fucking position. That's your dude. He got you to the fucking dance. It's like a reverse Duke Rufus situation here. I don't know. It bothers me. It bothers me a lot. Here we go. So we can't officially say it's because of too much wine, but I'm going to unofficially say it's because of too much wine. We did get the announcement this week that one Borrachina, Paulo Costa himself, has officially and pulled out of his fight with Robert Whittaker in April. He's saying it's lingering effects from his concert ticket, even though didn't seem to bother him up until literally just the other day. He was still training, posting social media and talking shit, but out of nowhere, the good part about that, though, aside from fuck Paulo Costa, is that this created an opportunity to give us the one that got away. The one that we were supposed to have, we were literally this goddamn close to, and it got yanked out from underneath us like a fucking carpet in an old-time movie. But we're getting it back, goddammit. Because stepping in for the wine-drinking moron is none other than Kelvin fucking Gastelum, the man we were just talking about not that long ago, wanting to see get back into the form he was in when he was supposed to fight Whittaker the first time, and then gave Israel Adesanya the best 5-round fucking middleweight title fight we may have ever seen. I want to see that Kelvin Gastelum step in April against Robert Whittaker and show us what that fight originally could have been.
Here's for hoping that turns out well, because I'm really hoping that ends up being the banger that we wish it would have been, had that ever had a chance to come to fruition previously.
I've got so much stuff crossed right now, it tickles.
I'm hoping that last fight was just that little motivation Kelvin needed, so that way he can come out and bang. Because we know Robert Whittaker's still going to be the fucking, let's go out and try to knock somebody out Whittaker.
Oh, yeah. Bobby Knuckles is going to show up. I have no doubt. With the time off, with this new kid, I have no doubt Bobby Knuckles is going to be there. I'm just hoping we get to see the Kelvin Gastelum that we saw that was ready for Robert Whittaker and then ended up fighting Israel Adesanya. Hopes. We also found out that for this weekend's upcoming card, Don'Tale Miles actually did not get medically cleared by the UFC doctors, confirmed as of last evening. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to compete this weekend. Fortunately, though, Tai Tuivasa is going to be able to stay on that card, and they are just going to throw him a Dana White Contender Series flunky, getting a last-minute call-up to make his debut with maybe the worst name in MMA. We talk all the time about how there are some fucking awesome names in the UFC right now. Nasrat Haqparast, Imba Kasangane, Jairzinho Rosenstreich. We've got some great fucking names in the UFC. And now we have Harry Hunsucker.
I kind of like it.
I'm a little indifferent. I'm not sure if it's fucking hilarious or if I'm still 13.
It's a hairy sucker, man. Like, what are you gonna fucking do?
Hunsucker.
See, I've got a feeling Harry Hunsucker, like with a name like that, this dude's had a chip on his shoulder his entire life. This dude's gonna come in and clean some fucking house.
I kind of hope so. I think Tai Tuivasa needs a good fucking match, and I think if you're a guy who's grown up with the name Harry Hunsucker, I'm imagining that's gotten you in at least a scrappy do or two throughout your lifetime. So I agree. I'm kind of thinking there might be enough of a chip there. He might come in here and make this interesting for us. So I'm glad they kept Ty on. I'm not sure about how I feel about the Hunsucker yet. I guess Saturday will help us determine that. Last piece of news here before we get into the couple of fight announcements that we've got. Kind of MMA news, kind of not, but still one of those things that isn't getting press, and I think it needs just at least a moment, if not on just this show, then on just this show. I don't give a shit. We all know there are sponsor campaigns where someone will give an athlete a certain amount of money every month in order for them to hold up a product in a picture or make a post saying how much they love a certain thing, or, you know, do a sound bite that says, I couldn't live without my insert product here. You know, and that's, you can't hate on that. That's sponsorship. That's understandable. But then there's this other thing that someone gives you money to say something, but it's not for a product. It's for a dictator who's literally killing people in the streets of your country, and they're paying you to try and post spin stories about it. The UFC's Red De La Cruz, native of the Philippines, has spent the last 4 years on the payroll of President Duterte, posting pro-presidential things and denying the massive amounts of human rights violation, and straight up in the streets murdering the hit squads are doing in the Philippines under the guise of the quote-unquote war on drugs. We found out that Red De La Cruz has been getting something to the tune of about $10,000 on average a month from this Duarte campaign, and just not really acknowledging, not replying to it, just posting these things and sending them out into the ether of social media. At one point in time, when a person would promote a known human rights violating dictator like that, there used to be a word for a thing like that, and I can't place what that word used to be, but when you actively promoted someone who killed your country folk and committed human rights violations against your people and you spun it, there was a word for it. Fucking hypocrite, that's what it is. Yeah. Red De La Cruz.
I believe the word you're looking for is propaganda.
Propagandist actually would be a very good descriptor as well, I think. Yeah.
There we go. I just want to make sure we were all on the same page.
Yeah, absolutely. She literally was making like 10K a month to use her ring girl social media clout to spread President Duarte fucking propaganda straight up and unabashedly. That's pretty fucked up. It doesn't look like there's going to be any type of repercussion from it. It's now public, but the campaign obviously isn't as big now as it was when this all first started. But it's kind of a fucked up thing that's just kind of been swept under the rug that no one's even really acknowledging is happening. And this is 2020. Like, it's not the time to stay silent about bullshit anymore. Those days are done. This is fucked up, And I'm saying something about it so that other people can understand this is happening and it fucking shouldn't be. That weird shit aside, we did get a couple of very interesting fight fight announcements in the news this week. The first one, maybe not quite as exciting as the other two, but definitely interesting and will be something that I will be looking out to see how it plays out. We got the formal announcement of the contracts being signed for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua for the unification of all the heavyweight belts in the world of boxing in a 2-fight contract deal. So there is an automatic rematch clause regardless of the winner. This, in my opinion, is one of the reasons that boxing is a fucking dying sport. The fact that we've got 8 belts that have to be unified in this series of fights is weird enough. The fact that they were insistent on putting a rematch clause in regardless of who won. If Tyson Fury knocks Anthony Joshua the fuck out in the second round, there's no reason whatsoever he needs an immediate rematch. They don't do that in any other sport. They sure as fuck don't do that in MMA. If he cleans his fucking clock, there's no reason to see that fight run back immediately. We know how the outcome will most likely happen. And at that point, he needs to earn a shot back to that rematch. But, you know, boxing, what are you going to do? Either way, I think at least the first match is going to be very interesting between those two. The other announcement that we got here, UFC 263, June 12th, just got added to it. One of our favorite crazy Russians, see, we do this live, Movsar Evliov. I still think that he needs to fight our boy Nate, but he absolutely showed us last time out that he's legit as it gets. So he is stepping in on the pay-per-view prelims against Mean Hakeem Dawodu, another favorite of the show here. I think that is going to be an absolute fucking awesome matchup, and I am very excited to see how that plays out once we get a little closer to it and we start getting glimpses into their camps, as it were. The other big announcement that we got, kind of the biggest announcement of the week, really. It's a threefold announcement, literally. So April 24th is UFC 261. We got a triple set of announcements here. One, it is going to be taking place not in Abu Dhabi, not in the Apex, but back in the arena in Jacksonville, Florida, with a full capacity crowd, no Backstreet Boy restrictions whatsoever. Then we found out that not only are 2 of the ladies belts rather up on the line, because that is Rose Namajunas versus Weili Zhang and Jessica Andrade versus Valentina Shevchenko. But now we have found out that that card is going to be headlined after those 2 badass ladies belt fights by the rematch that we've all been wondering about, Usman versus Jorge Mosfadal with full-ish camps. I think the biggest thing about this fight that people need to keep in mind, not only did Jorge take the last fight on 6 days' notice, he was in quarantine and traveling for 4 of those 6 days. He cut nearly 20 pounds unexpectedly in 48 hours in a hotel room he didn't know he was going to be in, for a fight he didn't know he had an option to take, and still went 5 toe-crumbling rounds with Marty from Nebraska. Do I think the outcome is going to be much different with a fuller camp here? Quite possibly. Am I expecting more cage hugs and toe stomps? Most definitely. I am very curious to see how Mosfadal, with 8 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is from here, can put together a full camp, especially when you're in both of their backyards in Florida. Mosfadal is the Miami kid. Usman is down there with the Sanford crew. So they're both Florida residents, quote unquote. I'm very curious to see how that plays out in their backyard with time to train. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot more about that card as we get closer to it, but finding out that once again, the UFC is going back on that triple header, triple strap match fucking card style. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to keep trying to fucking do this, thinking that these three title cards are, the way to bring everybody in.
What I really want to know is how are they going to top all this for International Fight Week?
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the second triple belt event that has happened in the first quarter, essentially quarter and change of the year. And then we've got International Fight Week. They've only done 3 other triple belt events like this in the last few years. We've got 2 of them in a 3-month period here, and we still don't even know what they're going to do for International Fight Week yet.
Look, they're setting the bar stupidly fucking high for International Fight Week at this point.
Right?
And I don't think that they're going to be able to top it. I really don't. Not at the route that they have things going right now. And because if they continuously do this, you're going to wonder who the fuck is going to be able to fight during International Fight Week.
Right? Grinded everybody the fuck out before we ever get there.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm curious to see how it's going to play out. Excuse me. Obviously, the triple belt events are something you just can't fucking miss because there's too much going on. So it's going to be interesting to see how they build the rest of that card around it now that we know it's going to be another triple strap match. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled for it for sure. That, however, was the last of what I've got. I don't know if either of you gentlemen have any other news that you saw this week.
No, I'm just excited that they're fucking bringing it home for Florida on the first non-Abu Dhabi, non-fucking Vegas fight. Just bringing it home for Florida. Soul stomping ground, so fuck yeah.
I mean, Dana said that he was going to be first when it was allowed to bring full crowd fights back, and Florida was the one that let him do it when California wouldn't last time, so makes sense. I understand why he's going back to Florida.
I mean,
We'll
his only 2 real options is Florida and Texas.
Right, and apparently the governor in Texas was willing to play ball, but the mayors were not. So
yeah,
Florida
those his only 2 options was Florida and Texas right now. For the next several months, those are his only 2 options, unless he goes back to the Apex or goes back to Not My Fight Island.
Right.
I mean, Fight Island's coming. What else is? I mean, I think Texas will eventually get there, but I mean, every time they go to Texas, there's so much fuckery that.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, Texas has been its own worst enemy every time the UFC has gone there, so I absolutely agree with that one as well. But that will bring us into our meat and potatoes portion of the show here, our actual breakdown for this weekend's upcoming UFC Brunson versus Holland fight night. Like I said a little bit earlier, we're going to do things a little bit different here. We are, as we always do, not going to break down the full card for you here because we're not going to waste time with fights that we don't think are going to be interesting enough to warrant giving you folks the breakdown on it here. We're going to give you the couple that we like, but the twist is going to come in this way. When it gets to our co-main and our main events, little aside, as long as we've been doing this show, I've been trying to find a way to where we can kind of keep track of our group and individual picking statistics, I guess, as it were. But that's a lot of fucking numbers, and that would be a lot of work that we just don't have the option to do. That's just too many numbers to fucking crunch. So what we're going to try out here is a point system. When it comes down to our co-main and main event, we will each take our moment to give our thoughts on how the fight is going to play out. When we have all four given our points on the co-main event, the four of us will vote on who we think gave the most likely or most realistic sounding event outcome for that particular event, and that person will be the one that we keep track of, whether they get it right or not. Same with the main event. You get it right and you're the one that gets picked, you get your point. You get picked and you're wrong, the rest of us get a point. 2 points possible for everybody every week. Pretty simple to keep track of. Not a lot of number crunching. Everybody still gets their say just like we do now, but it makes it a little easier to keep track of, and it makes a little bit more of a game aspect of it, because we're going to vote and nobody can vote for themselves to make it fair. We shouldn't end up with a tie if you can't vote for yourself. So that being said, he walked away, of course.
I demand a filibuster.
Sorry, this is the United States.
There's
of
four of
America.
us. We have to be able to filibuster this at some point.
I mean, I can bring the misses in on this. We can all bring a misses in.
That's adorable. But this is the United States of Meter America, so no.
I mean, no, like we all have another person that lives in the house. At one point in time, we can all just like, okay, it's a filibuster scenario. Fucking play back the stream and then bring it down to okay. Every time it's another significant other. Boom. It's your turn. It's your turn. Come and listen to it, and then boom.
At that point, it may as well just be casual corner again.
That's what I was gonna say. That's already pretty casual. I don't know that would work, but I don't know if Fresh has got his ears on here while he's walking around. But there are a few fights that I do want to talk about here before we get into the actual co-main event and our new point breakdown attempt. First and foremost, it's fucking aggravating as it is, and it is fucking aggravating to me. Another pair of Contender Series soup can husband and wife trying to be the first husband-wife pair to win on the same card. JP and Cheyenne Bays. Both of them lackluster on their Contender Series performance and not really a whole lot of hype, but here we are with another couple trying to be the first UFC husband and wife to win on the same card. So he fights on the prelims second fight against Bruno Silva, which I think is going to be a hard night out for him. She somehow ended up on the main card, but we'll get to that in a second here. One of the fights that I do want to talk about here on the prelims, Julia on Julia violence. We don't get it all the time, but we're getting it this weekend. Julia Avila, the angriest panda in the UFC, against Julia Stoliarenko, one of the most disappointing Ultimate Fighter contenders that we have seen just flounder since the fucking show. I kind of feel like they are really throwing Julia to Julia here at this point so that Julia can just beat the shit out of Julia, because I don't think Julia has what it takes to stop Julia's style. Julia is just too damn tough, and Julia isn't strong enough to keep up with Julia when Julia really gets on a roll.
I fucking hate you.
Julia.
Julia.
Julia, that's easy.
Dude, that's a fucking no-brainer. It's Julia.
Yeah, Julia's going to win that one. I'm 100% confident Julia's going to win that. I have no doubt in my mind.
Perfect. Do I get a point for that one?
Not yet.
Oh.
Did you hear the point system earlier? I knew that you walked away. I didn't know if you had your ears on. Okay, wanted to make sure.
Saying, I think we all get a point for this one.
I think
Julia.
Yeah, except for RJ because he had to talk shit.
It's just Julia is too angry. Julia doesn't have enough power, and I'm just like, wait, which fucking Julia is he talking about? Fuck.
Fun times. Oh, but a couple more down the road from that one that I do think another one. I'm not going to say full breakdown worthy, but definitely something that I encourage people to keep an eye on because there's potential for fireworks, as we say. Trevin Giles versus Roman Dolidze. Both of these dudes don't necessarily have the greatest gas tank, but they also fight like that. They both are very much dragsters in terms of their fight styles. They floor it and come out the gate hot and not necessarily looking to make the whole trip, but get as much fun in the quarter mile as they can, as it were. It's gonna be interesting to see how that one plays out. Basically, two fucking power strikers who are gonna come out and throw down and go fucking ape shit at each other. It's got some potential to be very, very interesting. I'm not sure how it's gonna play out, but I'll be watching and giggling.
That's
Bringing
also
us over
his middleweight debut.
Was he welterweight before?
That's what it's telling me here. It says this is his middleweight debut.
Oh shit. I didn't even think about that. I just assumed that he'd been fighting at middleweight. Oh shit. That'll make it even more interesting.
Yeah, coming in a little more comfortable.
Yeah, a little less of a weight cut here.
Yeah, it kind of makes me want to wager on Dolidze.
That's what I was gonna say. That makes me kind of lean a little more towards Roman's side here.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It'd be fun no matter what. I mean,
yeah, that's exactly. That's going to be a great fight to watch either way. But I didn't realize. I'm glad you caught that. I didn't realize that was his debut moving up. Because that's one of those weight class move ups that isn't a giant body fuck like going from middleweight to lightweight or lightweight to or light heavyweight to heavyweight rather. That's just a regular hop, skip, and a jump, and we see guys do single weight classes down when the normal ranges all the time with fairly decent success. It isn't really till they start trying to jump, I don't know, 2 fucking weight classes, Frankie, Jose, that it really starts getting weird. That being said, jumping us into the main card, as it were, they are opening it with the other half of the Soup Can marriage duo, Cheyenne Bays versus another completely unknown Soup Can. So, who fucking cares? I don't understand how this ended up on the main card, and the Marion Renault versus Macy Chazon fight is the premier prelim fight. If anything, those two should be switched, and that Chazon Renault fight should be on the main card, and this should be your premier prelim fight with her husband fighting on the prelims, as it were, rather, as well. But that's UFC, and that would make too much goddamn sense. The other fight that I do want to talk about on the main card here before we get to our main and co-main shakedown, as it were, Song Kanan versus Max Griffin. This is another one of those matchups where these guys are both allergic to boring fights. They break out in punches. We have seen both of these guys look absolutely fucking spectacular recently. I'm very curious to see stylistically how they match up, because these boys don't have an ounce of quit in them. And it's been a minute since we've seen either one of them in the octagon. And I think stylistically against each other, it's going to be pretty fun to watch.
I'm excited to see Sanong back in there.
It's been a hot minute. Yeah.
How long has it been since Song's been in? What, like 6-8 months?
What was his last fight? No,
when was his last fight?
February 22nd.
Been over a year.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to
2020.
say. Yeah, it
It
was
was
last year.
February of last year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see him get back in because he's always puts on an exciting show, and lately he's been on a really good, solid little run there and back to backs. And I mean, it's too bad that he's had a year layoff, and I'm sure part of that has to do with the pandemic and issues trying to get into places to fight coming out of China. I mean, that's the same reason we haven't seen the women's champ in the strawweight division fight since what was their last fight there? The Joanna War, right?
Yeah. Literally, that was the last time we saw her
Yeah,
as well.
and that was right before shutdown of everything.
In China, ironically.
Yep. So I mean, I have a feeling that's part of the reason we haven't seen him in that long.
Yep.
And Max Griffin's always exciting to watch already as well, because those guys just don't. I haven't seen a boring fight out of either one of them yet.
Yeah, exactly.
That just makes for an interesting fight. I think that's going to be, in my opinion, that right there is probably dark horse fight of the night, in my opinion.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. That's got the potential to just blow everybody's fucking mind.
I just hope Song has spent time training on defense, because if you're going to get against somebody like Griffin, who has some solid fucking power, that man eats a lot of unnecessary shots. He takes unnecessary damage like a motherfucker.
Yeah. He's one of them hard-headed motherfuckers that don't mind if you hit him because he's still going to hit you either way.
Yeah. Like we said, like you said last week, he's one of those take one to give one sort of guys, and that's not always a great route to go whenever you're taking one from somebody with the power of somebody like Griffin. Because that man has some solid fucking power and some snappy ass jabs.
He's got some striking for damn sure. Yeah, Song's not going to want to just stand and eat shots from him. That's absolutely agreed. That would be a bad night out. But that will bring us over, because as interesting as it's going to be to see Harry Hun Sucker against Tai Tuivasa, I just don't know enough about the Hun Sucker to really know how he's going to match up with Tai Tuivasa. I will say, though, being as how this is going to be in the Apex, I am curious to see if his boys are going to bring the beer this time in case he wins, so they can throw him the shoey, because he got the shoe last time, but no beer.
I'm pretty sure that there is some sort of backup plan in place for this already after that last fuckery that he did not get to do it in the Impact Center. Yeah. Hopefully they've got that situated, because if he loses this fight, they're just going to fucking cut him.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, this is literally handing him, here's a silver platter. Go feed yourself.
Yeah, I was going to say, when it was still Dontail Miles, I think he had a chance that he could have lost and still been okay. But I think now that Dontail is out, and it's literally the guy who failed his way out of the Contender Series getting a last-minute call-up, I think if that dude comes in and whips your ass, they're going to send you fucking walking papers. I agree.
Yep, he better do something amazing. He better do that the one punch walk off. Throw me my fucking shoe and beer and let's go.
Yeah, no shit.
Let's fucking Austin 316 that shit right in the middle of the fucking ring. Just fuck it. Right in the middle of the octagon. Shoey that son of a bitch. Don't even wait to get out.
So being a young Jamie over here, Hunsucker's been fighting since 2009 out of Kentucky. Doesn't have a lot of fights. Pretty much throughout 80% of 2014 and 2015, he had a fuckload of fight cancellations. But he doesn't have a bad record. He doesn't have a bad record. 3 professional fights lost. 1 was a no contest against the person that he fought. It doesn't say why it was a no contest, but he doesn't have a bad record. But yeah, he doesn't have a horrible record. Be interesting to see what he does in the UFC.
Especially making your debut against a guy like fucking Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah, definitely. Promise.
Curious.
Promising.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he plays out. That though will bring us into our point round, as it were. Starting out with the co-main event, Gregor Gillespie stepping back in against Brad Quake Rydell. To keep things fair, I am not going to go first like I generally do, because we do have quite a few scenarios where I go first and then it's expounded upon. So just to give everybody a chance to get their own shit out there, I'm going to actually wait and go last on both of these here. So whichever gentleman would like to go first here, I will open the floor up to you.
Which one first?
Gillespie versus Riddell.
Let's go that way. Either one of these really isn't that exciting to me. I'm not gonna lie. Namely, because, well, Gregor Gillespie needs to get rid of that fucking top knot, and Quake, I'm hoping he does something to surprise me. For two reasons. What have we seen coming out of City Kickboxing lately? The last couple showings from them have not been great. Which, I mean, look at their gonna be the light heavyweight champ. Coming directly from Israel Adesanya, gets his shit kicked in. Kai Kara-France has been mediocre at best lately. Don't get me wrong, his last fight was good. I'll give him that. But prior to that, he's fallen short of what he looked like he was capable of. To be quite honest, I'm losing a little bit of faith in City Kickboxing lately. And I'm hoping Brad can come in here and change my fucking mind again, because I really do like them. They don't put on boring fights, but they just haven't been doing the fucking job. I mean, don't get me wrong. Quake's on a good bit of a tear. What is he? He's 3 fights in the UFC, 3 wins, if I'm not mistaken. But they've all been relative nobodies. Like, Contender Series fucking garbage nobodies. Gregor Gillespie, on the other hand, he's earned his way to the 15 spot that he's in. He's earned that. I'll give him that all day long, because he's beat up a bunch of soup cans to get there. But he hasn't done anything that tells me he's going to do anything at lightweight. Like, to be honest, I think he sits here at 15 as a gatekeeper at best. I don't think he's that great. There's nothing that he's done that stands out from anyone in the top 10 right now. I mean, he lost to fucking Kevin Lee of all people. Look, I'm not against Kevin Lee. Well, okay, maybe I am. I don't like fucking Kevin Lee. I'll say it. Fuck. But you lost to Kevin Lee. That immediately tells me you're no more than a fucking gatekeeper for the soup cans coming up. So this is, in my opinion, this is Gregor Gillespie's shot to shit or get off the pot and just end up as that proverbial gatekeeper for the soup cans, because that's all he's going to end up being if he doesn't win this fight. This is Brad Riddell's chance to show, yeah, I really am this good, or no, City Kickboxing is really not all we thought it was cracked up to be. Granted, I mean, it's like some of these other fucking teams that we've seen where they look really good for a minute and then all of a sudden the fucking wheels blow out because they start getting high on their own supply. And I have a feeling that's what's going on there at City Kickboxing. So I'm hoping Brad Riddell can come in and correct that, because to be honest, I don't like Gregor Gillespie at all. There's nothing about that man that goes, yeah, He's great to fucking watch. I'm Team Gillespie. I'm not even Team Riddell in this. This is for me, this is a really bad toss-up. Both of them have their highs and low points here. But what I'm hoping and what I'll call here is I think Brad Riddell gets it because I don't think Gregor Gillespie is all that great. The soup cans that he's beaten are not to Brad Riddell's level. Brad Riddell has only had soup cans. So this is his chance to show that, yeah, I do belong up there a little bit higher. And yeah, City Kickboxing's not bad anymore. Because to be honest, I was starting to think they're fucking bad. You just got lucky with a really good fucking champion who makes your gym look fucking amazing. And all of the fucking hype that we talked up about everybody saying, oh, you get to train with the champ. That don't mean dick when you can't perform on your fucking own. I mean, we've seen a few exceptions to policy of you train the champ or somebody who's really great. Like Cyril Gahn used to train with fucking Francis Ngannou. Cyril Gahn is the real fucking deal, obviously. We've seen that. But City Kickboxing, not so much. I'm hoping this is Brad Riddell carrying on his shoulders a fucking 75-pound fucking ruck of City Kickboxing into glory on a 12-mile, 3.5-hour march. Fucking go. I think Brad Riddell gets it done. I think he's actually going to sleep Gillespie. I think he's going to sleep him middle of second, early third.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So Quake came in with a lot of hype. Brad Riddell did. He was supposed to be the guy that everybody was hyping up out of City Kickboxing. Wait till this dude gets here. Wait till this dude gets here. Wait till this dude gets here. And he's basically been a decision machine since he got in. We haven't seen the knockout power that he supposedly got. We haven't seen the grappling that he supposedly got. I'm hoping that this is a better showing for him rather than what we've seen. I mean, I remember the Magomed fight. I remember that one being relatively impressive, but it went to a split decision. So you're going to a split decision with Magomed. So we haven't seen the hype train, and he's got like 6 wins in a row coming into this fight, and I honestly think we'll probably get more of the same here. I don't think Gregor Gillespie. I mean, Gregor Gillespie was what, at 13-0 until he got kicked in the head by Kevin Lee. So there is some danger there. Obviously, you can't get to 13-0 in MMA and not have tortured a few soup cans. I don't think by any means that Quake's a soup can. I think that this might be his most challenging dude that he's ever fought. I see this going to decision though. I don't think that Quake has anything that Gregor Gillespie hasn't seen, and unless he catches him, unless we finally see that power that we've been told that Quake has. I see this one going to another decision. I don't think Gregor Gillespie's got anything to finish off someone like Quake, and I don't know that Quake has shown me anything at this point to impress me and lead me to believe that he's gonna, throw a flying triangle or some shit like that will just boggle my mind. Like I said, the only thing I've seen is he's a decision machine, and he's done it to everybody. His grappling is enough to control the fight if he needs to. He's got good enough striking to kind of keep pace with anybody that I've seen so far. I don't think Gregor Gillespie's going to throw a curveball at him. I'm hoping for a really fun fight, but I do see this going to a decision. Quake knocked out soup cans. He hasn't. Gregor Gillespie, I don't really consider him a soup can. I think what would be the level above soup can? Mixed fruit can? consider him a mixed fruit can guy, a little bit bigger.
I was thinking like cup of noodles.
Cup of noodles. Okay, I'll go with cup of noodles. I'll
Like
go with cup of noodles.
I
it's
second that.
yeah, it's like a step up, but it's still also kind of not.
Exactly. I don't think Gillespie's a soup can. He's a cup of noodles. He's got enough skills. Like I said, you don't get to 13-0 in MMA without having some skill. And he's got a couple submissions under his belt, so we know that he's got that game. He's mostly got TKOs and decisions. But it's that thing, as you step up your competition, you see where this person really is. You knock out soup cans, you tap out cup of noodles. So hopefully we get a tap out, but I'm thinking more a decision again. I'm thinking Quake takes this one by decision.
I need a fucking hat for this one. Playing the heel. There was so much hype around fucking Rydell coming into City Kickboxing about his power and about his ability on the ground, and we haven't seen fucking any of that. He hasn't put anybody to sleep. He's 1 for 1 on takedowns. Didn't do anything with the takedown. Didn't get a KO, TKO victory out of it. Fucking submission by punches. We didn't get any of that shit. And no submissions at all. Gillespie's at least finishing people. Soup can or not, a knockout's a knockout, a TKO is a TKO. He's at least finishing people. Rydell is just, like Fresh said, he's just a decision machine. I'd rather take 2 or 3 TKOs versus 5 decisions, because that guy doesn't have the power to put somebody down or take somebody to the ground and capitalize on it. Rydell came in with too much hype and so far has not shown me anything to put all my eggs in his basket in his camp. He hasn't given me anything yet. He's a good fighter. He has amazing potential with what's there, but I haven't seen anything of what Izzy said about having knockout power. I haven't fucking seen it yet. He has a gas tank for fucking sure. He has a great gas tank. That's about all that I've seen that's actually stood true with what everybody out of City Kickboxing has said about Rydell. I'm going with mid to late 3rd round, going Gillespie's way from KO TKO.
Interesting. Well, with all that being said, that's right. That's a double hat spin, folks. I am going to heel RJ's heel. 2 things stand out to me in this fight. One, like Fresh mentioned, Rydell has been nothing but a decision machine since we saw him. He came in literally with the unmatched hype of Israel Adesanya saying, "You guys think I'm something, wait till you see Quake." We fucking seen Quake 3 times now, and I'm still waiting for that wait till you see moment. I got nothing against the guy, but I was told wait and see, and I'm tired of fucking waiting 3 whole matches, and you ain't giving me shit to get excited about. Now, on the other side of that, the other part is that Gregor Gillespie was 13-0 until Kevin Lee put that shin right there, gave him an eyebrow adjustment. The interesting thing about that is that we have seen almost every time recently when a guy gets his first professional loss, it lights a fire underneath his ass that he didn't know could burn that hot. Add that together with the fact that a certain other gentleman pointed out to us a couple weeks ago that all of the boys from City Kickboxing have a very bad tendency to keep their head right on the fucking center line, regardless of how they move. I'm looking at you, Carl Wolfberg. Combine that with the fact that Gregor Gillespie said himself in media day, I have accepted the fact that I will be in Kevin Lee's highlight reel for the rest of my life because he placed a perfect shin across my face. With that knowledge, that fire burning in his ass from that first loss being that kick to Kevin Lee, knowing that Brad Riddell and all those city kickboxing boys keep their head right fucking there, I think Gregor Gillespie wins this round 1 by head kick. I think he sees Brad Riddell doing exactly what Kevin Lee did to him, and he puts that same fucking move down to show that not only did he learn, but I can do that too, motherfucker. I think Gillespie head kicks Riddell round 1. So, with that being said, who would you gentlemen vote for the most likely / realistic, most understandable, I guess, would be outcome of this fight here? Without voting for yourself.
I'll put it down for TJ.
I'd say, although it's against what I think, mine would go Fresh's direction. So he did make a good argument there.
Mine would have went Meter's direction.
I'm voting for RJ.
Everybody's got a point.
We got to split.
Everybody gets a point first round, regardless of how it goes.
First round
See,
points.
works out perfectly, just right out of the gate. I'll take it.
No,
Okay,
we're gonna
so
play the system now.
that's if that's how it plays out sometimes, that's how it plays out sometimes. Because I guarantee, at least with the next couple of cards that we've got coming up, that's not always going to be the case. Even if that is the case for a couple of the times that it turns out, there's a couple of these cards coming up where I know with some of the fighters on there, we're not going to all be in unanimous decision like that. But that will bring us to our marquee matchup, the meat, as it were, in the meat and potatoes portion of this meat and potatoes segment in our lovely show this evening, the namesake of the card, Brunson versus Holland, Derek back to Cisco Brunson versus Kevin Big Mouth Holland. I do want to make a point to note that we are getting blonde-haired Derek Brunson again in this matchup.
There we go.
So I will leave it to you gentlemen to kick this one off, and we will see where this round ends up.
This one probably better be me, I guess. You got Derek Brunson, who's coming in with 3 in a row against. Looks like he's had pretty good competition against the guy who I kind of consider the MVP of 2020, the Backstreet Boy Defier, Kevin Holland. Kevin Holland's coming in off what, 5? I think 5 in a row he reeled off. Yeah, 5 in a row in 2020 alone. Derek Brunson, he's had a couple of tough decisions, tough decision wins, so we know that he can gut it out, at least for 3 rounds. But I don't see this getting to 5 rounds. I think Kevin Holland is rolling with an attitude and a confidence that you don't often see in MMA. Because he last year gave him the confidence to do anything that he wants. He had one of the nastiest knockouts I've ever seen. He's had one of the most creative knockouts I've ever seen. And the boy's coming in with a lot of confidence. And I don't know that Derek Brunson is going to derail that. Kevin Holland's just been snatching souls out of people's bodies. And I really believe that's probably what's going to happen here. I think we're probably looking somewhere in the second. I don't think he's knocking him out off the mat again. I don't think we're going to wind up in that situation with these two boys. I think it's going to be a pretty fun fight. I just don't see Derek Brunson putting a stop to Kevin Holland. And I think Kevin Holland is going to continue to talk shit. Generally, I enjoy his shit talking. So he hasn't done anything to turn me off and make me say, no, I can't root for this guy. And every time he gets in the ring, I'm like, I don't know. This could be the one. This could be the one. Like somebody's going to stop him at this point. And every time he's just he's just knocked somebody out, or he's just been knocking fools out left and right. And he comes at it from like, you're not safe anywhere. Like we saw that on the last fight. You're not safe anywhere with Kevin Holland. Like he'll knock you out off his back. Like you don't see that. You don't see that type of power from anywhere. Like he can hit a knockout shot from anywhere. And I think it's just a matter of time before Brunson puts himself in a bad situation and Kevin Holland lights him up. That's been what's happened every time for the last 5 fights. So I'm gonna go with Kevin Holland on this one. I think it's a knockout in the second.
This is a loaded fight right here. Look, I have to look at this from 2 angles. First, I'm straight Kevin Holland. Straight to Kevin Holland. One, I do not like the way that man fucking runs his mouth. However, I have to respect it at this point, whether I fucking like it or not. Because after last year, 5 fucking wins, 3 knockouts, 1 submission, 1 decision. He was a finish. Not only did he fight 5 times in a year, only 1 went to decision. That was with the dentist. He knocked out Jorge Souza from his fucking back. Who does that? From his back, from a less dominant position. Like the least possible dominant position you can have. Jacare was in his guard. It wasn't a dominant position at all. In MMA, that's not a dominant position. We're not talking fucking Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu here. That was fucking absolutely wild. When you get on a roll like this, sometimes the hardest thing to do is stop a train when it's moving full speed. And I think right now where his mindset is at, I don't think he's stoppable at this point. It's going to take a very large fucking train. We're talking train-on-train violence, or a stack of fucking semis sitting there in front of him to stop this train. Which is a scary fucking proposition, because if you go back to just a little over a year, let's go a year and 5 months back, November of 2019, he got his shit kicked in. 2020, that man, in my opinion, comeback fighter of the year, knockout artist of the year. Like, there was a lot of categories that he definitely could have been at the top of. The dude figured out what was wrong with his train, put in the new parts, got those motherfuckers on the track and rolling. He is definitely, as Fresh said, dangerous from everywhere. We obviously know this now. There's very few fighters in the UFC that you can say that about. Nico Price type fucking shenaniganry, knocking people out from all angles. Kevin Holland is officially that fucking guy too now. Now, the one thing I do not like that he did this week, he basically looked past Derek Brunson and calling him nothing but a gatekeeper, which is absolute fucking trash. Brunson's last fucking loss was to the current champ of this division, Israel Adesanya. That was his last loss. He's on a 3-fight streak since then. No shame in losing to the fucking champ. No shame at fucking all. I mean, look at the way he's dismantled people. Minus his, we're not talking about his shenaniganery coming up to light heavyweight where he didn't fucking belong in the first place. But still, he's dominated everyone except for, I would say, Kelvin Gastelum, because that was a pretty fucking good close fight considering what it was. But he's dominated everyone else. So no shame in losing to him. I think looking past Derek Brunson as just a gatekeeper may cause a demise, and I say may cause a demise of Kevin Holland, because the fucking freight train that dude is on is hard to stop. But we say time and time again, when you look past a fighter, that's usually when that fighter looks past you in the rearview mirror as you're sleeping on the fucking canvas. And last time I checked, old Derek Brunson, he can put some motherfuckers away. We've seen it. I mean, look what he did last August against Shabazian. Fucking 30 seconds in, gone and sleeping. Don't sleep on Brunson, because Brunson will sleep you. Don't get me wrong. And he can go the distance because he's got a gas tank. We've seen it. It's not the greatest gas tank in that division, but he's got a good enough gas tank to make it solidly through the third. This is where this gets dicey for one reason only. That's because I think he's looking past Brunson, which is a fucking problem. However, at this point, even looking past Brunson, which I think is an absolute gigantic fucking mistake, I still think Kevin Holland gets it done. And to be honest, I think he's going to finish Brunson. Because, man, the tear that he's on, it's hard to stop that freight train from moving. And I do not like Kevin Holland. I'll say it out loud. But my hat is off to that motherfucker. He's turned into one hell of a fighter this last year. And not to mention, the amount of miles he put on last year, they weren't tough miles. He's not going to look like 5 miles of bad road. Those were good miles. That was highway driving with the clean oil change between fucking rounds, man. That's a scary, scary individual to fight right now. And as much as I think Brunson can sleep him, I don't think he will. I think Kevin Holland ends up sleeping him. But I think we're going to see something around third, fourth round. I think late third, mid fourth round. And I think Brunson gets finished.
Yeah, I don't understand how he pretty much called Brunson a fucking gatekeeper, because Brunson's at a point to where he's not fighting the top of the top best fucking end all be all of the weight class, but he's still fighting people that are fucking breaking necks and fucking taking checks in the weight class. With his fight with Ian Heinisch, that was a great fight, great match. His 30-second knockout, like Fresh said, beautiful fucking fight, beautiful shots. But how is that a gatekeeper? Because he's not fucking taking people out like you are. Because Brunson isn't KOing Souza from his back. Where do you see a fucking gatekeeper in that? So Brunson, things that he has going for him, like TJ said, man's got a gas tank like no other. Man's got a great gas tank. He defends himself rather fucking smartly in tough situations. I'm gonna be TJ. He lost against Souza, and Holland KO'd Souza from his back, being TJ with the MMA math there. I had to. You didn't say it, so I had to. Brunson is pretty fucking good. He's good on the ground, pretty good with his fucking hands. When it comes down to getting pushed up against the cage, he's pretty damn good at figuring out how to spin that around and push you against the cage. The only thing that Brunson doesn't have going for him, I don't know if how well he'll take that fast pace, that in your face pressure that Holland's going to push on him, because that's Holland's rap. That's his MO. He's just fucking foot on the gas pedal and don't take it the fuck off. I don't know how he's going to do with that, because he doesn't get a lot of people. He hasn't fought a lot of people that are just constant pressure in a little bit now. So that's something I'm kind of questioning. And when it comes down to Holland, I mean, you can't say a lot of shit. The man eats unnecessary shots. That's about the only thing that I have bad to say about Holland in cage. Out of the cage, I got a whole bunch of shit to say. But when he's gloved up, the only thing that he does is he eats unnecessary shots. Like I said earlier, takes one to give one. I can respect that attitude, but you're taking unnecessary damage. One of those shots is going to be the one that puts you the fuck asleep. But for this, I have to say Holland, on everything that he's done in the last year. I can't deny him anything less than what he's done up to this date. And to be more precise, the train that he is in is that motherfucker that's on GTA 5 that you actually just can't stop right now. That the bitch is unfucking stoppable currently.
Oh, kids these days. No, I'm just kidding. No. Two things stand out to me about this fight. One, first and foremost, I completely agree with TJ. Fuck Kevin Holland. Every time that son of a bitch opens his mouth, I want to bitch slap him. He just takes shit talking to the annoyingth level. He's like a taller, darker Henry Cejudo at this point. It's over fucking whelming. I do think that will actually play into his fight technique, though, because as we've seen, Kevin Holland, in every single match we have seen him in the octagon in the UFC, takes round one and doesn't worry about fighting, worries more about A, staying away from the opponent, and B, talking shit loud enough so the UFC microphones can pick it up. The other side of that is that Derek Brunson, for all the good we have seen him do, is almost always done in that first round, where Kevin Holland makes a point to stay the fuck away from you so that he can really grind out that mental aspect of it and get into your head. The other side of that is that in several of his fights prior to and including that Adesanya fight, round two is where Derek Brunson really starts to, I don't want to say get desperate, but it's more like he gets sloppy. Like he can stick to a game plan real good in round one, but it's like when that round two opening bell starts, he kind of erases everything that was on the board already and starts drawing from scratch again. And that's a stupid fucking idea. And it tends to get him pieced up and thrown against the fucking fence. And we've seen what Kevin Holland can do to you when you're up against the fence. I think Big Mouth is going to be just that. I think he's going to be talking shit all of round one, making Brunson swing and miss because he will throw wild looping fucking shots, which we all know will help gas you the fuck out. Hitting nothing is way harder than hitting something. And in a guy like Kevin Holland who will make you miss while he's actively talking shit to you, that's going to drain a lot more of your energy than you're used to having drained in round one. And when you add that to already having a tendency to get sloppy in round two, where Holland tends to really put the fucking pedal to the floor, I think this is going to be a bad night for the Cisco kid. I don't like it, but I think Big Mouth gets him out of there in round two. That being said, I'm going to give my vote to TJ.
I'm giving mine to Meter.
Meter.
Fuck me.
Well, there's that then.
I think I'm going on the Meter side of the house.
I will take that clean sweep then. I don't anticipate that one backfiring on me. I think that's going to secure me a point for that round. But the only way to know for sure is to tune in Saturday night and to find out, because that's our main event. So that is all we've got for this particular episode of the show here. Before we get out of here, I do want to take just a moment to go around and thank these fine gentlemen for participating in the shit talking and shenaniganry that we get up to here on the I'm No Joe podcast. So at this point, if somebody wants to learn the best training / facial follicle routine to follow to get better at what they're trying to do, how can they get a hold of you, RJ?
Go to the guy that's next to me on the screen for the beard questions. You find me over at RJ MMA Official. I have a message because my sister doesn't understand that we do this on YouTube. You can find this every Thursday at 10:30. You don't have to wait a week. A week later, it goes to anchor.fm at I'm No Joe. Shameless plug. But yeah, you can you can always find me over at RJ MMA Official on Instagram. Come talk some shit. I'm not the guy to ask about beard routines. That'd be TJ. He's the beautiful bearded bitch on today's. He even got a fucking compliment in chat. So clearly. But thank you for having me. Like always, man. Love being here.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, brother. So now, with that being said, I will move along and say at this point, since the temperatures are warming up, I'm hoping that we will get a chance to get back on the trail and help track down the elusive bastard that is Uncle Chael, because the Hugfest just ain't over till Uncle Chael is screaming like a bitch. But if someone is eager to join up in the Uncle Chael-a-thon that is upcoming, how could they find you after the show, Mr. Fresh 03?
You can find me on the main streets of Spokane, Washington. Bring your bicycles. We'll get our training on. Uncle Chael cannot outrun a bicycle. I don't think so anyway. Unless there's that super soldier serum. We're about to find out more about that tonight. So anyway, you can find me youtube.com/fresh03. I'm fresh0133 on Instagram. Fresh Peas on ELR. If you're into bathtubby liquid, I'll teach you all about it. Everybody's going to need it here soon. So jump on board that hype train. But bring your bicycles. Uncle Chael can't run from us forever.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much for your time, sir. Always appreciated.
Oh, I love being here. So thank you.
That being said, last but most certainly not least, if someone needs their directions, since it is springtime and the sightings are starting to become more fluid, needs their directions to get themselves some fried cheese curds and possibly a sighting from a man upside the Kenosha way, how can they get a hold of you after the show, TJ?
You can catch me Wednesday nights here on the YouTubes. And of course, here on Thursdays, because, that's what we do here on Thursdays. And also on the Instagrams. And then I will also be making a special appearance on a certain Saturday show this weekend. So, find me. I'll give you directions. I'll even buy you some cheese curds. Although, if you were getting a hold of me today, you're a little bit late because that's what we had for dinner. So, sorry, you missed out.
Oh, shit. Well, thank you very much for your time, sir. It's always appreciated. that being said, before we do go on and get out of here, I do want to take a moment to thank everybody for coming along and taking part in the shenaniganry and shit talking that we get up to. Like TJ mentioned, we are doing a special show this Saturday for my birthday. My birthday actually is this Saturday. So this Saturday from noon to 4 Central Time, over on the Fresh 03 YouTube channel, we will be doing a charity fundraiser for these magnificent beasts right here. Not only this one, but these magnificent beasts as well. I am raising money on my birthday this year for a group called Dogs on Deployment. What they do is they help raise money to help facilitate fostering of dogs and cats, all pets, we don't segregate, all pets, but they focus on dogs. Who will need fostering while service members have to go serve on active duty. So that is one less thing they have to worry about while they are serving, knowing that their fine furry friends are going to be well taken care of while they are over doing their duty to serve our country. Obviously, I am a dog guy. I have been a dog guy most of my life, and I am lucky enough to have 3 veterans come take part in my shit talking and shenaniganry every week here. So the least that I can do is try and give a little bit back on my birthday and do something good for them. So join us if you can. Saturday afternoon, everybody's got to have a couple pennies stashed back somewhere. We could use them. It's going to a good cause. Fresh 03's YouTube channel. I will drop a link in the description once we get this thing wrapped up. But that is all we have got for this particular episode, folks. So thank you very much to all of you who tuned in. Everybody here was live. I saw you. To everybody who catches this on a replay, thank you as well. To everyone who is listening to this, I appreciate you just the same. But we are going to call that all for this particular episode. So until next time, folks, remember, don't let ignorance stop you. You can root for anything. Unless you didn't think Uncle Joe was really going to bless that bank account of yours.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening.
How do I say goodbye to what